O'Connell's YouTube famous?
I'm too famous. No worries. It's totally fine. Okay. So while we're waiting to get started, actually, no, I'll say that.
You're ready. You're ready.
I'm
You're
ready?
Good. Yes.
Cool. Hi, everybody. Hi, seniors. Hi, senior parents. Hi, stressed out everybody. We're going to talk about financial aid, and I know it's a lot, so buckle up.
Is this only for seniors?
This is for seniors. You'll get a little bit of background info because I know you don't have a senior yet, but hey, it doesn't hurt to have the info going in. So this is going to be about financial aid, but before we start, I have two announcements for my seniors. Those CUNY fee waivers should be dropping in my inbox any day now. So what's happening is we're going to have on Wednesdays, we're going to have fee waiver Wednesdays, and that will be for seniors of any income. They're going to be able to come in. I think it's going to be between 125 and 225 on Wednesdays. They can come back to school. Come to, we're going to have it set up in, I think, the library. And we're going to be having different people working with them one-on-one to complete their CUNY applications and look them over. And then we'll be able to give them fee waivers. So that's going to save them $65. So if they want to work on the application at home and just come in and get the fee waiver, they can do that, but we're going to walk through it and just make sure that everything is perfect. Another really cool thing. Oh, wait, let me go back to that. So the CUNY fee waiver Wednesdays, we're going to start as soon as I get those fee waivers. You'll start to hear announcements. I'll send out the emails. You know how I do. And I will also post it, and it'll be like all over the school. So yay. Now, the other cool thing I sent out to the seniors is that SUNY, for the first time ever, is having a free application week. So from October 24th to November 6th, you, my friends, can apply to up to 5 SUNYs for free, regardless of income. So that means usually a SUNY costs you $50 every time you want to apply. 5 SUNYs times 50, $250. You're saving yourself up to $250, which is ridiculous. So you can apply using suny.edu. You can apply using the Common App, either one, and you will be able to apply for free. Just they'll waive the fee automatically, which is very, very cool. And just remember, when you do apply to a SUNY, a CUNY, or any other college, you must notify me on Naviance that you applied by going into your Naviance. You go to colleges I'm applying to, you list the school, you edit the status so that it shows me that you submitted the application, and that's it. Then you magically start showing up on my list, and I know that I need to send your transcript, your recommendations, and your forms to that college. That's the only way I know you need to do it. Okay, on to the financial aid. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I'm going to just let you guys, guys, you have to give me access to share my screen, please.
Sorry to do that right now.
Sorry. That's okay. Okay, so while I'm just waiting for that, I'm just going to let you guys know it's really hard for me to do this presentation and also look at the chat. So if you have specific questions about your financial aid and your particular situation, please email them to me. It's way easier for me to handle it that way. And then a lot of times I can just like send you the link that answers your question. So my email is collegeoffice@wagnerhigh.net. Okay, collegeoffice@wagnerhigh.net. Thanks. Okay, I'm going to try sharing. There we go. Cool. Thank you. All right, here we go. Oops. Great. Okay, so we're going to talk about financial aid, which is basically how much college costs, what's included in that cost, what is the difference between grants, scholarships, loans, and work study, and also how do you actually get the financial aid. More than half of all students attending college in the US receive some form of financial assistance. I'm going to say anecdotally that most of my seniors, especially those who attend CUNY, end up going to college for free or almost free. Last year, our senior class received the highest amount of scholarships that I've ever seen from any senior class. They received over $36 million in scholarships. And there are ways to access all of this, and it's not all income-based. So financial aid is money that you receive from outside your family to help you pay for college. So it can be money from the federal government, and that's the FAFSA, which stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. It's the TAP, which is New York State aid, and that's money that you get if you go to a college within New York State. It could be private, it could be public. And also scholarships, which can come from an institution or from a private organization. So who gets to apply for financial aid? So it's a lie that you have to be super poor to get financial aid. To apply for federal aid and New York State aid, the student needs to be a US citizen or a legal permanent resident, which means they already have a green card. They didn't just apply, they already have the green card, or they have refugee or asylum status. If a student doesn't fit one of those three things, they don't qualify for FAFSA, they can apply for this thing called the New York State DREAM Act, which qualifies them to get aid for CUNY and SUNY tuition. If you need help with that, you just come to the college office and ask. Best time to find me in the college office is first period or fifth period. If you're missing class to come, get a pass first. How much is college going to cost? So cost of attendance for a college is going to be divided into two things. There's the billable costs and the indirect costs. So the billable costs are the things that you will find on the bill. Okay, that's the tuition and fees. And then if you decide to live on campus, the on-campus room and board. The other things on the right-hand side are estimates. So books and supplies. Maybe you're not getting all your books new. Maybe you're also getting some used books or getting them online. If you decide to live in an apartment off campus, right? Off campus room and board. I'm assuming if you live with your mom and dad, they're not charging you rent, but I don't know how it is in your house. Personal expenses. I never know what this means. It could mean shampoo. I don't know. And then travel costs. So even if you're just going to commute and go to Baruch or Hunter in the city, the way you get there is going to change your cost of attendance, right? If you just take the bus to the ferry to the train, that's going to cost the least. If you take the express bus, that's going to be a different cost. If you decide you want to, I don't know, drive in and pay tolls and pay for parking every day, that's going to be a different cost. So those are all things that you factor in. The main things I'm concerned with for financial aid would be the tuition and fees. And then if you're living on campus, the room and board. So this is something that I think all parents really need to talk about with their kids. You have to figure out how much college you're going to be able to afford for the kids. So for example, a lot of my friends who are teachers who are going to be sending their kids to college, they've already said to them, we can afford to send you to a SUNY or the equivalent of a SUNY. That's about $25,000 a year. If you're going to go to a different college, we'll pay up to the SUNY price and you're responsible for the remaining amount. You need to figure out what that amount you can help with is going to be. Maybe it's zero, I don't know. But this is a conversation you need to have before the student starts applying to colleges that are going to end up putting them in debt for decades. So this is a really important tool that I recommend every senior use. This is a thing called the net price calculator. It's available on any college's website. A net price calculator helps prospective students get a better handle on what they're going to be expected to pay. So you're going to put in information about your family's financial situation to learn what similar students paid. And it'll really help you figure out which colleges you're going to be able to afford. So I am referring to a handout or a packet. So there is a thing called here, actually, let me show you guys. I've told all my seniors to join the senior class Google Classroom, which is this. Okay, so it looks like this. This is the class code U7F2QNQ. I think about 400 of them have joined so far, possibly more. we should have like almost every senior on here. Okay. So I'm going to post the financial aid presentation on here, the video once it's up. And then also I have a financial aid handout on here as well. So the handout that I keep referring to, sorry, I'm just sliding it up. It's right here, the financial aid packet. It looks like this. Okay. I'll also email it out to the seniors too, because I believe in overkill. So you'll get it as well. Okay. So everything I'm talking about, you're going to be able to see in the presentation. Okay. So back to this. So net price calculator. The way you access one is you just Google net price calculator and then the name of the college. So I did one for Wagner College and I just put in like some random numbers just to show you what it looks like. So at the end, after you're done typing in your household income for 2021, your GPA, your test scores, if that applies to you, the number of people in your house, and then any other factors that the college wants to know for financial aid, you're going to get an estimate of how much you'd likely pay if you were to be accepted to this college. If you are not a senior yet, if you have a junior, a freshman, a sophomore, you can do this now also, just to get a sense of what the possible cost might be of college. You can redo the net price with different incomes, different GPAs, different test scores to see how these factors will affect your aid. This is for 1 year of attendance at the college. Okay. So again, I said this was Wagner College. You can see that the tuition and fees, believe it or not, $46,140 for real. This is living at home. Okay, because Wagner College is a private college. Now, this person who I just put in an estimate, right? This person would qualify for grants and scholarships. So the Pell Grant is something you access through the FAFSA. This person qualifies for almost 6,500. This person also qualifies for TAP, that's New York State aid, and that comes out to 3,600. This other grant, the Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant, that's another federal one that gets tacked on. And then these two are from Wagner College itself. These are institutional aid. So Wagner College is giving this person an academic scholarship of $15,000 a year and also a need-based grant of $5,000 a year. So all of a sudden, this student is getting $31,256 in free money to attend Wagner College if they got in. Now, once you subtract that number from this number, you get $14,884. Okay. So how are we going to pay for that almost $15,000 left over? Wagner College is offering work study, which is basically student jobs on campus for an additional $1,500 a year. And they are also offering federal loans in the amount of $5,500 a year. Now, when you apply for financial aid, they tell you how much you'd qualify for in loans. You're not getting the loan right away. They're just saying this is what you qualify for. You're not actually getting the loan right that second. So if this person wanted to take that loan, they could, and that would leave them roughly about $8,000. Okay, so this price, the sticker price went from $46,000 to $8,000 for this person. So this is where they have a conversation with their parents. They say, okay, can we handle $8,000 a year? Is that something we can do? A lot of parents might not have $8,000 lying around. When colleges bill you, they usually bill you every semester. So once for the fall and then once for the spring. So they basically bill that person $4,000 and then $4,000. Even then, that's still a lot of money just lying around. So you can ask for a payment plan. The college would say, all right, we're going to split that $8,000 up into monthly payments. Maybe that becomes something that the family can handle because it's split into monthly payments. This is a conversation you have to have. I'm a big believer in doing the net price calculator before you apply to the colleges, because then you'll know, should you bother applying to the colleges? Today, I worked with a young lady who did the net price calculator for Hofstra. Hofstra was going to give her a really nice $20,000 scholarship. And it sounded great until she did the math and did the net price calculator and saw, oh, wait, it's still going to cost me $40,000 to go to that school, even if I get that $20,000 scholarship. maybe it's not worth it for me to apply. So I'd rather that you find out before you apply to the school rather than applying to the school and just like winging it. That's not how financial aid works. It's not like we'll see what they want to give us. You can do this estimate and get a pretty good idea of whether it's something you should bother with. I always tell the heartbreaking story of, I'll never forget it. This is like one of the turning points in my career. I had a student years ago who was at the top of her class. She got into her dream school, which I'll tell you was one of the Ivy Leagues. And then her parents told her they couldn't afford it. So she got into one of her Ivy Leagues. It was one of the hardest ones to get into. And they said, yeah, they're going to charge us $26,000 a year. We can't handle that. We have too much debt to do that. We can't do it. So this kid who had basically worked her entire school career towards that point had to end up going to a different school because she didn't know going in, and she'd already done all those supplemental essays and all that extra work. So please, for the love of God, do the net price calculator at the beginning so that your heart isn't broken at the end. Okay. It's just better to know going in and have a shorter list than apply to 30 schools and then find out that, okay, now I have to sit there and go through all this financial aid offers and see what I can afford. Okay. That's my little public service announcement. Okay. Now what else? When you start to apply for financial aid, you need to look at your college list and find out who needs the FAFSA. So pretty much everyone, if they're a domestic college, they're going to need the FAFSA. Do they need the TAP? So that's a school within New York State. The threshold for getting a TAP grant is taxable income of $80,000 or below. So if the household income is above $80,000, you don't need to do the TAP. You're not going to get anything. You also need to find out if the school needs a thing called the CSS profile. So that's institutional aid based on income. The CSS profile is found on College Board. I have a list of some schools that my students apply to in the handout, and it's on page 7 and 8. If you take a look at that, you will see some of the schools that need the CSS. So I'll give you a quick look. Let me just show you in the packet. So 7 to 8. Let me just find it for you. It is, so here it is. So on this handout, I highlighted all the CUNYs. I'll tell you right now that the CUNYs and SUNYs don't need the CSS profile. The things with the stars, they need the CSS profile. So CSS profile is usually private colleges who have a ton of money to give in scholarships. They tend to give aid that is income-based, not based on grades, income-based. So those are the ones with the stars. So locally, that's going to be schools like NYU, Fordham, Barnard, Columbia, Stevens, going a little farther away, Boston University, Boston College. Those are schools that are Drexel. Those are schools that are going to need the CSS profile. So more info on that to come. Anyway, oops. So as I was saying, you need to find out what your schools require. So the way you do that, just simply Google the college and, sorry, let me just get this out of the way. Google the name of the college and then undergraduate financial aid to find out deadlines and required forms. So I just did that for NYU, for example. I can see here that they want the financial aid done by February 20th if you're applying regular. And it also says that you're going to need, let's see, US citizens. Okay, you're going to need the CSS profile if you want to be considered for scholarships, the FAFSA, and the TAP if you income-wise qualify for the TAP. So that tells you, keep all of this information like in a spreadsheet or write it in a notebook. You need to keep all your deadlines and documents in one place so you can keep it straight. You can see who needs what. Okay. So before you apply for aid, you have to gather a bunch of things. Let me just get this out of the way. Okay. So you need to gather your documents. You're going to need your social security numbers. So social security numbers for the student and for the parents, if they live with both parents. Alien registration numbers, if the student or the parents have a green card. You're going to need the parents' dates of birth and the date that they were married, separated, divorced, or widowed. You don't need the actual day, just the month and the year. You're going to need the 2021 federal and state taxes. the W-2 forms for 2021, and any other earning records, okay? You're gonna need that for your parents, and then if you have this stuff, the student, you're gonna need that as well. And then you're gonna need documentation if you or your parents get non-taxable income like welfare benefits, Social Security income, or veterans benefits. You're gonna need your most recent bank statements for checking and savings accounts, and that's for the student and the parent. And this is really important. You need the list of colleges you're applying to, okay? Because they're going to ask you which schools are we sending this financial aid information to. That's how the colleges get your information. So you start with the FAFSA, which is studentaid.gov. Okay, this is what it looks like when you log in. Oh, when you first enter. And this is really important. Make sure you're applying for the correct year. You're applying for aid for the 2023-2024 school year. I have already talked to multiple seniors who rushed and did this and did it for the wrong year. So that's not a problem. You just did a whole bunch of work you didn't have to do, just saying. So you have to make sure you're applying for the year that you're going to be in college. So my graduating seniors who graduate in June 2023 will start college in August or September of 23 going into 24. Okay, so you're going to click on complete the FAFSA form. You're going to go to start here, and then you're going to select which person is filling out the FAFSA. And then you're going to be asked to create an FSA ID. So you need to create an FSA ID for the student and one of the parents. So the FSA ID is how you sign the FAFSA. If the parent already has an FSA ID because they've got like another child who did the FAFSA, or they themselves did the FAFSA for themselves, you can't get like another FSA ID. You need that one FSA ID. So if you don't know how to access it, you can call 1-800-4-FED-AID to get that. And okay, so you need to get that done. All right, so you're going to enter the FAFSA. And I'm going to bop through this. All right. You're going to be asked for your username and your password. So you're going to make that. And we're doing dependent students. Okay. So let me just bop through this. So when they ask for the student email and phone, you need to be consistent with this. Use the same student email and phone number that you are using for all the college stuff, applications, scholarships, testing, everything. This should not be mom's email. This should not be mom's cell phone, okay? The student is going to have this for 4 years. You apply for financial aid every year because it's based on the taxes from 2 years prior. So my seniors who are applying for financial aid right now, you're using the 2021 taxes. When you apply for financial aid for your sophomore year, next October, you're going to be using the 22 taxes and so on and so forth, okay? So you're always going to need to access this info. It should not be your mom's email, just saying. Okay, so you're putting in your address. They're going to ask about residency. We don't need to do this. Okay, now here on the student education page, make sure you're putting this in correctly. It's going to be, they're going to ask you what college degree or certificate are you working on? It's going to be the first bachelor's degree if you're doing a 4-year program, or your first associate's degree if you're doing a 2-year program. So for example, my students who are going to FIT, you're starting with an associate's degree. So it's going to be first associate's degree if you're going to FIT. College grade level would be never attended college, first year undergraduate. And then they're going to ask you if you want to be considered for work study. I would say yes. That doesn't force you to do work study. It just makes it easier to apply for a work study job if you want to later on. So I would do it. It gives you more options. Okay, driver's license, that's only if the student has one. They are not asking about your permit. They are asking about a driver's license. If you don't have one, move on. Okay, foster care and parent education. Now here, what's the highest school completed by parent 1 and parent 2? You need to only report schooling that was completed, not partially finished. So if your parent went to college and then didn't graduate, you're not listing college, you're listing high school, okay? It's only what was completed, not what was started. Okay, student eligibility. Here we go. When they ask for the high school, this is really important because I get a list of who applies for financial aid. And if you didn't apply for financial aid, I'm going to chase you down and ask, did you want to apply for financial aid? So if you don't want me bugging you every 10 seconds, enter the high school correctly. Okay, so you're going to put in for the state, New York, and then where it says high school name, just type Susan. Don't type anything else. Just type Susan. Trust me. And then click search. You're going to see us pop up. Make sure you're choosing the one that is Susan E. Wagner, no period after the E. Don't ask me why, but the period screws us up. Whatever. Okay. All right. Now, they're going to ask you which colleges you want to send your financial aid information to. So this is where you're busting out your college list and you're looking at the schools. So there's a thing here that says search by federal school code. I think it is way easier to add the schools if you just use the codes. So you could always just like Google the name of the college and then federal school code to get the number, or you can look at my handy handout and I have a whole list of the federal school codes for a lot of the schools that my students apply to. Just look at that. Now, please note that some colleges have a main campus that handles the financial aid for the satellite campuses. So for example, Long Island University, the main campus is, guess what, in Long Island. But a lot of my students are going to apply to LIU Brooklyn, which is their satellite campus. Long Island University in Long Island handles the financial aid for LIU Brooklyn. Okay, so PACE does this also. New York Institute of Technology, Mercy College. There's a lot of schools that have a satellite campus in the city that my students go to. And then like there's like some campus in the suburbs that's doing the financial aid. So don't be thrown by where the school is located. Okay, you're going to list up to 10 schools over here, right? And this is what it looks like when you select a school. They're going to ask you for what your housing plan is. So are you living on campus? Are you living at home? Are you living with your parents? What's the story? You can add up to 10 schools at a time on your FAFSA. Once you get confirmation that your FAFSA was processed, you can log back in, you choose make corrections, you remove the old schools because they already have your info now, and then you can add in the remaining schools that you've applied to. The order that you list your schools in on the FAFSA does not matter, okay? So don't worry about that. Don't obsess. All right. Then they're going to ask you for the student's marital status, which is really a thing, all right? So just parents, if you're doing the FAFSA for your students, pay attention to if they are asking for the student's info or the parents' info, okay? Because I've had many cases where parents did this when they were like under-caffeinated, I guess, and they misread it and they had the student as married, they put in their income twice, like they really royally messed it up. The good news is you're able to log into your FAFSA and check it over and, you know, fix any errors that you've made. Okay, so they ask about student kids. They're going to ask about if the student is dependent or not. So this is the only way that you're able to prove that you're independent. Most of my students are going to come up as dependent. They're going to ask if the student was homeless after, really it's going to be after 2021. And this is another way of filtering for whether the student is dependent or independent. Because if they were living in temporary housing or a shelter, then they would be considered independent. And that actually means a little bit more money for them from the federal government. Okay, so then we come to who are the parents that we're putting down on the FAFSA. So this is a little complicated, I know, but basically the student has to put on the FAFSA the legal parents. That means biological or adoptive parents. So it doesn't matter who's claiming the kid on their taxes. It's the legal parent. So I don't care if like the student's older brother is claiming the kid on his taxes. He is not the legal parent. It's the biological or the adoptive parent. If the parents are divorced, you're using the info of the parent who has primary custody. If the parents share 50-50 custody, you're putting down the info of the parent who sort of pays more in support. Biological parents who are not married, but they live together, you're using info about both. If the divorced parent, the custodial parent has remarried, you're listing the biological and the step parents info. Now, if the student lives with a relative or a family friend, not the parents, you're actually, I know this sounds crazy, but you're listing the biological parents info unless the person that the kid lives with has actually adopted them or is a court-appointed legal guardian. So I'm not talking about that situation where mom wrote a letter and it says, I allow Aunt Joan to take care of my daughter while I'm in another country. That's not court-appointed. Court-appointed is there is a paper from a court that says this person is a legal guardian. Okay, if you have any questions, ask me about it. All right, I'm going to skip this part. All right, so parent marital status, personal information. So it's the parent's social, parent's date of birth. If they don't have an email, you can leave this blank. If the parent does not have a social security number, or they have like a social security number that says for work authorization purposes only, you have to put all zeros where it says social security number. So it's going to be 9 zeros. Okay, they're going to ask about legal residence, and then they're going to ask about other dependents. So it's going to say, how many other dependent children do your parents have? That means even if you've got siblings who are away at college, a student would list them. They're still considered dependent, even though they're not like living at home. Then they ask, how many other dependents do you have? So other dependents can include grandparents or other relatives who live with the family. Even if they're not included on the taxes, you can list them here if you provide support for that. So for example, let's say parents, let's say your little niece has come to live with you. You're not claiming her on your taxes perhaps, but if she is depending on you for your support, then you're putting her on here as well. Right. Okay. So they're going to ask how many people in the household are going to be college students in 23-24. Then they're going to tell you that you're using the 2021 federal tax form. They're going to ask for the tax filing status, which is going to be at the top of the page. And they're going to ask you if you want to use this thing called the IRS data retrieval tool. Highly recommend that you use this because basically it hooks up, it'll get your tax info directly from the IRS website. So the colleges will consider that info legit. Because think about it, like if you didn't use the retrieval tool, you could be like, oh, my income is 0. Give me some money. And what's going to happen is the colleges are going to be like, okay, so we're going to need you to prove that your income was really 0. So send us some documents that show that, like official documents. And it just delays the whole process. So honestly, it will speed everything along if you can hook up with that IRS data retrieval tool, right? Highly recommend. Okay, moving along. Now, like I said, the parents need to have their own FSA ID, and this is how you access the data retrieval tool. Just one of the parents has to have one. You don't have to have one for both. Okay, so they're going to ask for some info like adjusted gross income, wages. All right, I'm going to skip through this part. Okay, now what are they going to ask you about? They're going to look at the parents' 2021 assets. So that's bank accounts, investments, real estate investment. Like if you have like, I don't know, an apartment that you rent out or a house down the shore, they do not ask about your primary residence. They're going to ask about child support that you've received, workman's comp, disability benefits. The FAFSA does not look at the parents' pension or retirement accounts, does not look at the primary home. If you have a family-owned business, they're not looking at it if it's got less than 100 employees. They're not looking at your insurance policies or your annuities. They're not looking at your welfare benefits or your tax credits. Right? They're going to ask about the parent assets. So that's the bank accounts as of the day that you submit the FAFSA. So you would print out and save your bank statements from that day as proof and just save them. Okay. Then they're going to switch over and ask about the student. So again, pay attention. Are we talking about the parent or the student? Always look, check. Okay. Student tax filing status. So if there's no income or taxes filed for 2021, just say so. I am recommending though to my seniors, think about doing your taxes. Because if you have W-2 forms from like an on the books job from 2021, like if you did summer youth and you have like a W-2 form from that, you can file your taxes for free till November 17th using the link I have on this PowerPoint. You're probably going to get some money back. Because think about it, you got all that money taken out of your check, you're probably going to get like a chunk of change back. So just think about it. You don't have to do the FAFSA, but just trying to save you some money. Anyway, a student could make up to $7,040 in 2021 and not have it affect their FAFSA. Okay. I have not met a kid yet who has made above that amount. Any kid who has made above that amount, I am really wondering what you're doing and is it legal? But most of them have not made above that amount. Okay, and then skipping along, this is what it looks like when you're signing. You're signing electronically and you're submitting electronically. A parent signs with an FSA ID unless they're undocumented. So in that case, if the parent is undocumented, you print out a signature page, have the parent sign it, and then you mail it in like it's 1982, okay? It'll still get processed. It just takes a little while longer. Students can get help in the college office if they need help printing or mailing the form. Okay, and this is what it looks like when it gets confirmed. If you have multiple children who need to file the FAFSA, you choose this thing that says transfer FAFSA information, and a lot of your info will transfer over. You can look for the invitation to file the state application. That's the TAP. If you're applying to any school within New York State, like it'll pop up on this page. Okay, zipping right along. After you submit the FAFSA, you need to do the TAP. If your income is 80,000 or below, you're going to see that link on that confirmation page. I also have a link for this in the Google Classroom. So if you're including a New York school on your FAFSA, you're only going to list one school on the TAP. I know that's crazy. I know the FAFSA let you list 10. I don't know why, but the TAP only lets you list one. But guess what? You can go back and edit it anytime. So don't worry about it. Okay. If it says like CSI and you really want to go to Hunter, it's okay. You'll be able to switch it over to Hunter if you really want to. All right. Now, you also need to do the FAFSA and the TAP in order to do the Excelsior Scholarship or the Enhanced Tuition Award. So I'm going to show you what that's about. The Excelsior Scholarship is free CUNY or SUNY tuition for 4 years. Tuition, not room and board, tuition. This is for students whose household income is less than $125,000 for 2021. What's the catch? The catch is you need to enroll for 30 credits per year. So that comes out to roughly 5 classes per semester, which is pretty standard. I do want to point out, though, if you've got College Now credits, St. John's credits, AP credits, you can use those towards that 30 credits a year, which is pretty sweet. You also need to agree to live and work in New York for the New York State for the same number of years that you receive the award. So let's say that you get it for 4 years. That means you're committing to living and working in New York State after you graduate for 4 years. Now, let's say you get some sweet deal and I don't know, now you got a job offer in Florida and you need to move down there after serving only 2 years of that requirement. Okay, you do have to pay the money back. It reverts back to a loan. Okay, you have to pay the money back for the 2 years, but there's no interest. So you would have paid that tuition anyway. So now they're going to ask you for it. That's all. I think it's a pretty decent deal. Excelsior pays for whatever tuition isn't covered by federal and state aid. So let's say, I don't know, you get $3,000 from the federal government and the state towards your tuition. Excelsior would pay the remaining $4,000 that isn't covered. Not bad. So the Excelsior Scholarship will open up. They don't give me a set date. Last year, it opened real late, like in late July. Year before that, I think it opened in May. So you have to do the FAFSA and the TAP first, and then you do the Excelsior. When you get my handout, my FAFSA handout, I have the link for the Excelsior Scholarship there. You click on that, you can get on the mailing list to be emailed when it opens up. So there's also a thing called the Enhanced Tuition Award. This is $6,000 a year at some New York State private colleges that belong to this program. And it's the same requirements as the Excelsior. It just gives you $6,000 towards that, which is pretty cool. So same thing, I've got a link for this in the handout that's in the Google Classroom, and I'll also mail it out to everybody. All right, so CSS financial aid profile. I mentioned that you'll find this in the College Board. Sorry, I'm going to speed along because I will run out of time. So you'll be able to see this in the PowerPoint that I email out. Okay, grants. So grants are free money that you don't have to pay back. Okay, you access them from the federal government. So that's the FAFSA. So these first two, right? And then state grants, that's the TAP that I was just talking about. So these are usually income-based. And then scholarships. So scholarships are like grants, but you usually have to do a special application for them. So you're going to ask the college office staff for help with accessing, completing, sending, and mailing scholarship forms, transcripts, and recommendations. Don't go to your guidance counselor. Don't go to your teachers. You come to my staff, and we will help you with that. If you're asked for a counselor or a recommender email, you use collegeoffice@wagnerhigh.net. So scholarships can be given to you because of athletics, academics, leadership, theater, music, writing, art. They're usually competitive. Sometimes colleges give them. A lot of times if a college gives them, it's merit-based. So that's like dependent on your grades and usually get considered automatically when you apply. But I'm a big believer in looking at the local scholarships, because if you're going to go to the trouble of doing an application, writing an essay, filling out a form, you want to make sure that you actually have a fighting chance of winning this. Okay. I also want to point out that a lot of parent unions and professional organizations offer scholarships for their members' kids. So if you're a member of a union, talk to your shop steward. You probably have a scholarship that you can apply, that your student can apply for. If you're a member of a professional organization, like for example, let's see, the organization of, it's like the professional organization of state employees. They have a scholarship, right? So take a look at that and see if there's something that you might qualify for your student, okay? Most of these scholarships are going to be for seniors. Now, the local scholarships are the ones that I love because you're competing with the fewest people. So let me show you what that looks like. When you go into Naviance, you can use Naviance to search for scholarships. If you go and you log in on the homepage, look at this bit that says scholarships and money. You can also find this under the colleges tab, but scholarships and money. And you can use the filters to put in things like gender and race and first generation, just to see what you might qualify for. But you can also type in a keyword like local and see what comes up. You could type in local, you could type in Black, you could type in Italian and just see what pops up. So I've put these scholarships into Naviance for you because I'm a crazy person. And I've tried to put in keywords that you could use to just like look up. So I typed in local, and here are a bunch of local scholarships that students can apply for. So for example, this Rotary Club of the North Shore Community Service Scholarship, it's $8,000. Every year, this Rotary Club contacts me and says, hey, we have hardly any applications. Are any of your students going to apply? So they're literally begging people to apply for this $8,000 scholarship that is based on community service. Students need to get off their butts and actually do these. Now, I highly recommend that when they're done with their college applications and their financial aid, they start to do scholarships. All right, that's the order. College applications, then financial aid, then scholarships. Instead of waiting for April when they get their financial aid offers and then they realize, I can't afford to go to college. Don't start to do scholarships in April. Start to do them when you're done with your financial aid, so you've got months to apply, because different scholarships have different deadlines. Every month there's a new set of scholarships. So when you click on that scholarship, this is what pops up. You can see that there's a deadline. You can see the maximum award. You can see that it's merit-based, which means that it's not income-based, or need-based. It's based on the quality of your community service. And you're going to also see the link for applying online. Okay, you go there and then you'll be able to apply and see what's up. All right, loans. I know this freaks people out. remember, when you apply for financial aid, you're not like getting the loan right that second. They're just telling you this is what you qualify for. So even if the parents are millionaires, the student isn't. That's the parents' money. So the student would qualify for $5,500 in loans. Okay, that's the max for freshman year. So the interest rate for a student loan is 4.99%. And most students are going to qualify. A plus loan, you also access through the federal government, and that is in the parent's name. So this is in the student's name. This is in the parent's name. It's 7.54% interest rate. There's no maximum, but it is dependent on the parent's credit history. And then you can access private loans, which is going to have different interest rates, and you may need a cosigner, which think about it. Before you sign up for a loan, though, I really recommend that you use a debt calculator. All right. You'll be able to access this when I send out the handout, but I really recommend that you use this second link over here for the debt calculator so you can see how long it's going to take you to pay it back. This is what it looks like when you go to this page. You can put in the loan amount, the loan term, like how long it's going to take, how long they give you to pay the loan back, what the interest rate is, and then you hit calculate, and you'll find out what the monthly payment's going to be. So you can also see, like, when you're done paying, how much did you pay and what was the interest that you paid? Now, this might seem reasonable until you realize, hey, if this kid's going to go to this college and need a $35,000 loan every year for 4 years, this kid's looking at way more than $480 a month. They're looking at nearly $2,000 a month for 10 years. So this kid's whole paycheck is going to go towards this loan. And they're basically living with their parents until they're 40. Is that what they want to do? So this really helps you to decide whether this is something that is a good strategy for you. A lot of people, once they do this, they realize, hey, maybe I should stay local for 2 years, make sure I know what I want to major in, and then maybe my last 2 years, I'll transfer to another college and get the college experience and go away. That's also a feasible way of making this happen. Okay, so parents, really, the loan thing, it's important, and it's an important conversation to have. All right. So you can lose financial aid or grants. That's if you're failing your classes, if you're getting below a 2.0 GPA, you can lose your grants, or they'll ask you to pay them back. If you didn't register for enough credits, you will also lose your aid. And if you're convicted of a drug offense, so good for you to know this. Now, what if things have changed? So let's say that the family income in 2021 is really different from how it is today. Maybe somebody lost their job, somebody retired, maybe somebody lost their hours because of the pandemic. Maybe they're paying somebody else's medical or tuition bills. Maybe somebody got a new job. There's going to be a situation that's not reflected in the 21 taxes. So this is what you do. You're still filing the FAFSA as normal using the 2021 taxes, but then you can write an appeal letter to the financial aid office of each college, explaining the situation and providing documentation. So I have this appeal letter in the handout. I also have it posted separately in the Google Classroom. So do take a look at that. You're not sending it out until after you have submitted the financial aid to the college. You can then mail or email this letter. And then there's some other strategies for getting more money. In the handout, I have a list of, I talk about schools that meet 100% of demonstrated financial need. So that basically means the college will, let's say the federal government thinks you can pay $1,000 towards college. The schools that meet 100% of demonstrated financial need will pay for everything else. So Columbia, for example, they meet 100% of demonstrated financial need. I sent a kid to Columbia a year or two ago. They were paying nothing because their family had income that low. So they are very generous because they can afford to be generous. Another thing that is super helpful is if you negotiate with the financial aid office of a college, using other aid offers. So the way that you do this, right, you need another school to have offered you a scholarship. So let's say you really want to go to Wagner College, but you can't afford it. PACE offered you a scholarship for $10,000. You don't want to go to PACE, you want to go to Wagner. So you're going to email Wagner College financial aid office, and you're going to say, I really want to go to Wagner College. It is my first choice, but PACE has offered me $10,000. You're going to also send a copy of the letter so you can prove that PACE really did offer you $10,000. Then you're going to say, Wagner College is still my first choice. I'm wondering, are there any other scholarships or grants at Wagner College that I might qualify for? So that's your polite way of asking for more money. Then the people at Wagner College go back to their manager and they try to figure out, hey, can we make this package any better for this kid who really wants to go to our school? This is how you can get more money out of the colleges, and it can mean a substantial increase of thousands more dollars that they offer you. If you don't ask, you don't get. Okay, I'm almost done. My last tips, students, make sure that you are applying for private scholarships. Don't wait for those aid offers to come. Look, the application decisions start to come out in February, March, April. The aid letters come separately, and that's usually in like February, March, April. Don't wait until you get your aid offers. Start applying for scholarships as soon as you're able to, okay? Check your email, students, for the aid packages. Sometimes they email them to you. Sometimes they tell you, log onto your student portal, and that's where it's going to be posted. If you don't get an aid offer and you applied for financial aid at that school, don't be afraid to contact the college's financial aid office to ask when the offer will come. And really importantly, apply for financial aid by the college's deadlines. If they posted a deadline of February 20th and you're applying in March, you might not get access to that institutional aid that they would have given you if you had applied on time. All right. So bottom line, students, check your email, follow deadlines, don't do it at the last minute, and you're going to come and talk to me if you have questions. Okay. I hope to be giving financial aid workshops, one-on-one help for the students. So we might be doing that after the CUNY workshops are over in February. We'll probably try to transition those Wednesdays to workshops for financial aid. More info on that to come. All right. Thank you, everybody. I hope you have a great night. I'm going to go put my kid to bed, and I'll be talking to you soon. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
All right.